Now we are recording.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Baba's Interviews, Julia. All the way from Zaandam to Wester Park today. It's a very lovely Saturday. Hi.
Hi. Hi, Aisha.
I want to talk about your journey. I want to understand what makes you you today. And I know that you have a unique journey, that how we meet was also in an event. And then, okay, I followed her and then you were telling stories on Instagram. Maybe we can give tips about that as well. That I want to ask about, maybe we start with your education and I have a few more questions.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Julia. I live here in the Netherlands for about 12 years, but before that I was living in Russia. I grew up there. I was born in Soviet Union, the country that no longer exists.
Okay.
So
You are part of history now.
yeah. It's like so funny when it's like, well, my country of birth is not on the list. I grew up in the north of Russia, and at the age of 9, I found out what computers are. Mm-hmm. My mom signed me up for the computer club, and she was like, "Do you want?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure, yeah." And I was like so excited. We did something, whatever, like they teach you like how to use the mouse, how to use some like graphic programs that probably brought me to like my design career right now, if I reflect on that. I actually followed through. I wanted to become a software developer when I was like realized that computers exist and it's so cool. In the meantime, of course, like we got internet at home and it was like super nice. I was like making websites. They looked absolutely ugly.
But you grew up with the technology.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like maybe like my generation was like the first like digital natives. Like it's not like we were not born with technology though, but like it was like early teens when that all started. And I was like so fascinated with that. So I decided to go study computer science. And so I did. I moved to St. Petersburg and I studied computer science, information technologies and education. That was my major. And around 4th or 5th year, we had this workshop on interface and UX design. And I was so impressed by, first of all, how these guys, this was like professionals, like people from the industry. And back in the day in Russia, there was no one who was like, who had a degree in UX. That did not exist. UX was also a very new field. And these people were all self-taught. And the one thing that was impressing me, apart from the content, is the presentation. That this guy was like super skilled, so well, like just such a good storyteller. And his presentations was so minimal, just like black screen, white text, like 5 words on it, as opposed to what we were used to in university, all of this like messy, Excel sheet on the slide kind of thing.
He had a story. He had a good story to tell that to impress the audience. That was really unique thing to do.
Yeah, that was something I think like right now this is such a common thing, because I think just the level of like the whole like content creators and like people who like teach you things, it's so high. But back in the day, it was like 2009 maybe. For me, it was very new. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then in one of those workshops, they also did this whole like UX thing about like we got split into several groups of like 4 or 5 people, and we needed to design a fridge for Indigenous people in Canada. And everybody designed the same like fridge, whatever we thought the fridge was. And then they play out a scene, the designer and the user was like, what is this? Like, how am I supposed to carry it into my canoe when I go fishing? So people were like, oh yeah, we actually never asked. Nobody asked any question. Like, it was just so funny. And I think they knew it. They knew that this is not what we're going to be doing, because we're all engineers. Like, engineers are like, okay, let's build stuff, right? Like, no questions asked. Because you would think if you're given some requirements, they're final. Which is, I think, even if you're an engineer, you still need to ask, like, well, are you sure? Is it final? Like, can we, like, why are we doing it? And I got so into it that you actually can ask people and build something for them, and not just because you can.
That's really nice that like they created a safe environment for you to fail.
Yeah, and it's like it was such an obvious like, of course, like you have to ask.
Now it's your career now.
Yes, it is my career now, and it's funny how I think I was just so bad at asking questions. I was always like this person who was taking everything like as it is at face value. It's like, oh, you tell me something, I'll be like, okay, well, you must have done your research, or you must have like telling me the truth. And even though like it doesn't mean that you're like lying to me or deceiving me, you can just be like, you can just be wrong, right? You may not have checked
Yeah, maybe
certain things.
sometimes people think that they tell the truth, but they don't realize that they
Yeah,
also.
they might be very
Anything.
convinced that this is how it should be, right? But and it was just it was such a great experience for me. So I actually included some UX work into my diploma project.
Okay.
So
That's good timing. That you were leaving the school and then you realized the career. That's I don't hear this often. That was lucky.
It was like an overlap. Yeah. So I was working as a front-end developer at the time, and it was great. And interestingly enough, that lady, one of the ladies she was a team lead of that group who was doing the workshops. She organized like a full-on sort of UX course, let's call it like that, on the base of my university. And she invited me because she gave me also some good feedback on my diploma work. So after I graduated, like a month after, they started this course, and I was like so like ecstatic because, well, you couldn't get this education anywhere. And it was like super interesting. She did a lot of this like things where she made us do stuff. She was like, okay, like you figure out how this works. Like for the next session, you prepare this, you prepare that, you prepare something else. So it was also a lot of like sort of like working together, working in teams, creating this sort of community. We had even like a Skype group, like back in the day when Skype was a thing, right? It was right. I think
now they shut down.
They shut it down now. So so we had like this Skype group. We had like actual meetings also after the course. So we actually got this sort of like community group of friends. It was super nice.
Oh, you were learning also from the other people in the group as well then. It's a learning curve you took together. Huh?
Kind of. I think all of us were somewhat familiar with things, but all of us were students. So it was more like we were learning. We were sort of, I feel like saying that we were forced to learn.
Okay, great.
So it's like you have this assignment, right? You need to present something for the next session, next Saturday, and you have to prepare whatever. And then this lady had a position of a front ender in her team, and I applied because it's like, I could work with her, and maybe then I can transition. So I had this whole idea that I can maybe transition to UX in her team, and. I cannot say, like, it felt like I completely blew my interview. They were asking me things about semantics, and I couldn't answer one very specific, and I think at this case now quite easy question about semantics. And I remember the next time she was like telling me like, oh, you may not even dream about that job. Oh. And it upset me a lot because I was like, well, that's sad.
Then how did you get in then?
Because it was a front-end job, right? Like it was the moment when
it was not the UX job.
It was not in the UX job. No.
How did you transition?
So it was connected to the same course. But then when she said you cannot dream about it, I still sent them my test assignment. And 3 weeks later, I got a job offer from that company.
Ah, great then.
So I was like, she's not the decision maker, or I don't know. So it was a bit weird because she said like, oh, you can just like forget about it. And I already got a job elsewhere because I didn't realize that they will take so much time. And plus this comment, I was a little bit like, okay, let me just park that. So during the same course, this is a 6-month UX course, she was mentioning one person, like the only person in Russia who has a UX degree. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she said, oh, she was finishing this program, user system interaction in Eindhoven. And I'm like, I need to check that out.
Okay.
It's an actual UX education. And for that year, it was already too late for applications. So I checked it and I decided to apply the year after. And throughout the year, I got this like new job I was looking for. I got laid off from that job. And I thought like, okay, this is my cue to start looking for a job in UX.
Okay, that's good.
And so I did. And it was basically how the luck and preparation come together. That's like the best story of how you need to be prepared to take your opportunity.
Yes. You knew what you wanted to do. Also, then was that you were strategizing.
I wanted to say that. I think, like, yes, I think it's more like that. I really, really, really wanted it, rather than I was being very strategic about it. But what I was doing, I got into the UX community of St. Petersburg, so
Yeah.
I knew some people. I was in the Google group. That was a thing back in the day. And basically, there was this mail one day in the Google group that appeared. The person who was a director of usability agency, she needed some fresh ideas for their client. And she said it was a paid assignment. I have never ever in my life since or before had a paid test assignments or any sort of paid assignments. But she was like, oh, we need new ideas. So if you want to get into the UX, this is like a good opportunity for you to test your skills and whatnot. And so she was asking to create a form to sell. So the client was a company that was selling used cars. They needed a form for their website. And the startup I was laid off from was a company that was selling used cars.
Ah, that's now you had prior knowledge.
And I knew everything about how you sell
I might
used cars.
ask about UX design also, that now you need to adapt different industries all the time. How do you create better questions for that? Because you need to like understand before you design, and you need to adapt many situations. How does this work?
It's a good question. I don't think I have like a clear process. You start asking questions. You ask people basically how they work. You either ask them this open question like, okay, how does your day look like? How do you work, or how do you do very specific thing? You basically you talk to experts.
In this case, it was luck that it become cars and cars, but it could have cars and pharmacy and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you do it?
I think I would have definitely looked at what the competition is doing, right? You do the competitive analysis, you see like what are the products out there, or the websites or whatever that do similar thing. How do they do it? Try to see like the similarities, because like similar patterns might mean that it's like a standard thing. You still can talk to people and talk about how they do their job. For example, when I did my diploma thesis in the university, when I decided to do some include some UX in there, we were doing this sort of a product for teachers, so to do the administration. We found out through the research that teachers spend probably more time doing paperwork than actual teaching. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's...
And I was asking teachers to show me what kind of software they're working with, and all of that was quite bad. Like their consideration, their needs were not absolutely not presented there. And I start asking them, okay, but what do you need? What is it that you do? What if it's a paperwork, could you show me like what are the forms that you need to fill out, right? So that, you know, if we making something digital, it could actually fit their needs. So you basically do it through observation or questions, or you do like analysis. If you have access to users, it's the best. If you don't, then you make assumptions and then maybe you test them afterwards. It's a bit more costly. But yeah, basically this is how I would approach that if it was not like cars, but the pharmacy.
No, it was cars, yes,
yeah. But the pharmacy, I would probably look at like some popular, like bigger pharmacy brands, and maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure if at that point I would
I just made it up. I'm not sure if it's pharmacy.
Well, I don't know if at that point I would be brave enough to just go to the pharmacy and be like, hey, could you
that's
like...
also possible,
yeah. It's also possible, right? You can just talk to people. So...
Then you moved to the Netherlands after the...
Yeah, so I found this program, and via this test assignment, my solution, so because I combined my knowledge of the used cars and some of the practices that I've done on like unusual forms. So the first iteration failed for everybody. The person asked us to do it again. So we did it again, and I create this like less conventional form, so not just like your fields, but something more visual. And they picked my solution to sell to a client.
Yeah.
It didn't really work, so the client was like, okay, for us it's still a little bit too extravagant. We cannot, for that we really need a lot of redesign to do.
Sometimes it can be too out of the box as well, that too much innovation, maybe too innovative.
Yeah, so I think at one point everything was like, oh, this is just like so boring, too standard, can we do something else? And yeah, it was a bit like, I'm also not the person who would be like, oh my God, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm very pragmatic. I'm like, okay, this needs to work. This needs to be realistic. This needs to be implementable. And because I was also working as a front end, I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with like designs that are like super complicated. It needs to be, reasonable.
Doable.
Yeah, it needs to be doable. Yeah. Everything, because it's costs. Right now, also as a senior designer, I think about the business, right? Like you can't come up with the design, with a solution that is too costly. It needs to be minimal, but also very viable, feasible. Yeah, so it has to be something that brings value, but doesn't cost you a fortune. And so they got my solution, they tried to sell it to a client. It wasn't super successful, but they offered me like another project. And after that, they offered me a contract.
Yay.
So I was like, oh my God, I got my UX job. Yay. And at the same time, I was applying for this program. So I was like, but I already have my job. Like, why do I need to move? Like, it's working. I was like, why do I need to go and like study, right? I already have a job.
But you are here, so you must have taken program.
Yeah, I know. And then like so I applied, I sent like a ton of documents, whatever. There was like a phone interview. And after that, they're like, and now you wait. And if we don't select you, it doesn't mean that something's wrong with you, because we have to have this like a good mix of different backgrounds and stuff. So in my program, they were looking for people with 3 different backgrounds. So it's like tech, design, and psychology. Because
you were
it was
in tech side.
I think I was the tech person.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an engineer, so yes. I think I was a very design-minded, or I was already like a designer at that time. But formally, I passed as an engineer. And then at a certain point, I got an email saying, hey, congratulations. I was like, holy crap, it's real. And now I have to move countries. And I was so bloody scared.
That was the early 20s.
Yeah, it was in my early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like 24, I think, when that happened. And I was like, oh my God. And I don't remember that. So I don't know. But
you packed your bags.
my mom was telling me that apparently I was asking her whether I should do it, that I wanted to like bail out. I don't remember that. Maybe because I was so stressed, because it was like, oh my God, this is real. No, like I did it.
How
So.
was studying in the Netherlands compared to Russian education system to here? Completely different, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's also because I cannot. Okay, to be fair, it's not comparing like apples to apples in this case. It's a little bit apples to oranges, apples to pears, maybe.
No, oranges is better.
Well, I mean, in this case, yes, oranges would be better, because so this is also different levels of education. So if I could compare, like, say, masters and masters, bachelors and bachelors, that would have been more fair. Because what I did in Russia was like let's say officially in the Netherlands it's considered master's, so it was my master's degree, because what I did in the Netherlands was postmasters. And postmasters is of course different, and it's also something like for people who wanted to get into the UX but they don't know, and they don't know how to like make money, because it's expensive to be without a job for a while.
Yeah.
This is a good place if you have a master's degree, because it's a paid position.
You were teaching as well. Great.
No, not really. It was like you are a trainee, so it's like a PhD.
Okay.
But 2 years and more practical. So you're not like writing a theoretical thesis work for 4 years like PhDs do. It's a 2-year program. It's practical. Back in the day, it was cohort-based, so you got the whole group. Right now, it's like project by project base. So people get hired individually.
Yeah.
And it was great because you get salary. It's quite low, but also you're considered a student, so you get all the discounts and stuff. And you get to learn UX-y things. And you get to meet new people, and
it's for the network as well. When you are moving a new country, you need to create your network also.
Yeah.
But how did you do it? Do you think that, like, for example, you went to school clubs as well, but other than this meeting, creating a network in the Netherlands, how was it for you? I know that you go to meetings today, but back in days, do you go to events and?
Yes.
What
so
happened?
we have in the user system interaction group, we also have an alumni network. And back in the day, we were arranging a UX camp in Eindhoven. And so I think in Eindhoven it was mostly like our bubble with our like program.
It's very design focused city.
Yeah, yeah, and also there was Dutch Design Week. But I think it was mostly like just our group and like the generations before and after you, because you have an overlap, because like the 2 generations, they have 1 year of overlap. and you kind of know these people. And after 2 years, so after a year, we had to find a project to work on, like an individual project. And some people found an actual company. The program used to have a lot of connections with different companies, but at that time was already a little bit like, was a bit problematic with funding. So because the company needs to pay for you. And I think university could have maybe have done a bit of a better job.
What was your project?
So I was working for like a one-man company, and I actually didn't have like a project. So it was meant to be like a full like 9-month project. But in reality, when you go work in a company, which is perhaps not Philips. Philips is big in Eindhoven, right? Like a lot of people went to Philips. I think from my generation, there was only one person who ended up in Philips, and people went into all sorts of places. I did. So I was working for this one, sort of like one-person company. So the guy's an entrepreneur, and he helps businesses to figure out. So he's a consultant to figure out whether it makes sense to create an app. So he's like an app consultant on the business side.
Okay. Now, the apps business is not that big, but those times it was everyone, like, I don't want to download another app at the moment, but those times, yes.
Yeah. So it was more like a consultation whether it makes sense to create an app because it's expensive, right? And then if the client decides to do it, then he also had a network of development companies or developers to connect the client to the developer. And I did like all sorts of things. So we didn't have like, it was a challenge for me to kind of like wrap it together under whatever umbrella of like, because it wasn't one project. So we did this sort of client work with like, because my services were fitting very well into what he was doing, because I could create a prototype and we could actually test. Like, okay, does your idea actually work? We did the work with Tilburg municipality. So they had a problem that people were calling them a little bit too much. So they wanted to like reduce costs. And we were looking at how this could be done online, because they have like, oh, we have everything online. I was like, okay, let's look at your online and see what could be improved. We also did research, talked to people in the municipality, like people, like citizens who come to the municipality. We asked them, like, okay, why do you call? A lot of people just like that. They just like calling, it's faster, you know.
How do you see that AI and UX comes together? For example, people can talk to AI.
This is a very hot topic right now.
Yes, I wanted to ask in 2025.
Yeah, I think.
And we need to talk about also your current things. I will ask about that. You have an Instagram page, and you talk about that in a second.
Yeah. So as for the AI, I don't know. I think it's tricky. I think right now, like a lot of people interact with chatbots. So when you go to customer support, 100% it's not going to be a real person at first. And I think a lot of people...
I don't like it.
A lot of people don't like it because they don't trust it, I think. And I think they want to sort of figure out how to get to a real person. I mean, on the business side, of course, it's very expensive to get real people to talk to real clients, especially at scale. So
all the time in history we could do it. It's not expensive. Maybe they need to do other things. The thing is, I think, like having a human connection, like recently a phone company called me to have more contracts, and we were chatting, and I forgot a word, and he made a joke about the word, and then I could say, oh yeah, that is what makes us connected. Like AI of course can do also jokes, but that person trying to understand me and making a funny thing that made me more positive about the experience, and then I find it more natural than random things.
Yeah, I don't know if AI is going to be so good that we will not notice that there is a difference, but I agree, like the connection is definitely there. And I think if you have like maybe some complicated problem or something very specific, it might be quite hard to go through the chatbot. I mean, depending on how advanced this is. Like my company right now, we're also doing customer support using some automation. And I think my colleague, who's a UX writer, she's doing a great job of trying to like also use very good wording for the things that a user might come with as a problem. But other than that, like I think AI products need a bit of like UX love. They need probably a bit more research in and figuring out what is it that people expect, like what kind of interaction is like more natural. I'm a bit terrified how like nice and like compassionate ChatGPT can be towards me. I'm like, this is a bit scary also. I was like, it's a little bit too good. But yeah, I'm curious to see like what we're gonna do. And when it comes to the whole industry, I think now there's a lot of tools that can like create designs for you.
Yeah, I want to ask about that also. Like people were creating UX designs for more than 30 years for websites, let's say, and now it's also the job market in UX is very saturated.
Yes.
People are always like doing things in a similar way and getting the same courses and stuff. And maybe it's good time about talking about your current Instagram page, about what you are doing at the senior. Like there is many people who is helping people to get into UX, but you are having another twist on it. Can we know about that?
Sure. Yeah, so I do have an Instagram page indeed. I am mostly I'm in the portfolio niche right now, so I'm sort of leaning towards that because I do mentorship, mentor designers on ADP list, and this is the most, so by far the most popular question. Can you look at my portfolio? Can you look at my resume? And I also do portfolio reviews, and I, as a consequence of that, because I see the demand, I also make content about portfolios and generally about like what the real UX work looks like. Because the bootcamp, unfortunately, I mean, I have never been to a bootcamp, so for me this is very difficult to recommend any courses to people because I mean, I don't know. I'm in the industry for 13 years. Like I have never, like I've done like one course in the very beginning, but that was it. Now this course has changed and I cannot afford to spend 6,000 euros just to go and check if it's good or not. So in the portfolio space, there's also other creators and they're really good. And I think what we're trying to sort of convey in our social media is that portfolio is hard and there's like certain things that you should do and it shouldn't be the cookie cutter. Like there are certain things that are very important about portfolios, about your case, that your portfolio is also your UX project, that you need to treat it as your UX project. If you're a UX designer, think about your users, what's it that they're looking for. And I think a lot of people, myself included, are talking about that you need to talk about your challenges and things that didn't go well in your portfolio because nobody's interested in the wall of sticky notes.
Yeah.
Like you did your research and you put things on sticky notes. Nobody cares about it. Talk about
it needs to be translated into an understandable concept.
Yeah. So if you did the research, you can say, I did the research and these are the main findings that impacted my design. So everything in your portfolio needs to be connected, all the parts. Like you did the research, why? What was the outcome? How it affected your designs? So these are my designs. What were your trade-offs? These are the things that somehow, I don't know, they're probably not being taught in the bootcamp, or in the bootcamp maybe it's a bit too simplified. Because when you are a designer without an experience, this is very hard. It was also hard for me.
Do you have a suggestion for people who wants to do better designs or better career choices around this? Like they need to experiment and document, and other advice what they can do?
They can do so. It's always hard to find your first job, right? Before that, I suggest to go and look for places where you can help, some real project. Look at your local businesses. If you speak the local language, that will be probably more helpful. Look at maybe NGOs and some like volunteering work, right? That you can do it for free. Well, I don't want to say for exposure. Exposure, like, or free work obviously doesn't pay your bills, but you can create good cases. And it's gonna sound very infuriating for some people, but a network.
No, it's totally fine.
Figure,
in other industries also.
Be like network in the sense that you shouldn't like not just like be like, oh, can I like do some UX work for you, but be active in the communities, right? Like we have UX communities in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, like yes, it's hard right now. Not only for juniors, like but for juniors it's always hard, but also like more like mid-year, senior people. It's not that easy to find a job when like a lot of companies had hiring freeze. So it's a bit like it's not easy for anybody at the moment. But if you're a junior and you don't have like a proven experience, because what is different from you, experiments are great. You can also do that in a way that say you can look at the product that doesn't work for you and you can suggest improvements. And you can also, because it's not like your real job, you can also think about why this company hasn't done it yet. What could be their constraints? You could also go and pitch it to that company, like why not? Like you don't lose anything.
Yes.
All right, so you can obviously do.
You're a good,
Yeah.
really good storyteller. I can listen to you for a very long time. You're telling good things. I want to ask another personal thing, if it's okay. Then
Sure.
from now, thank you so much for your insightful things around the job market at this moment. I think it's really important to record these in the history as well. So I want to ask about what are you building for your future self from today, from this Julia, for your future self. What are you building?
Such a great question. I am now a little bit, I think I'm spreading myself a bit too thin, which I should definitely fix. So I enrolled in the graphic design course.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm regretting it by now. It's been like 5 months.
Okay.
It's really good because I'm drawn to this like more visual things. But actually what I want to do with my career is to go more into the design system world, to go back to the intersection of design and development.
Yes.
And I just, it was just this Into Design System conference that ended yesterday. So it was 3 days of like packed with talks, and they were such a high quality. It's amazing. It probably was one of the best conferences I've ever been.
Do you take notes with pen and pen, or how do you take notes?
Typing.
Okay.
Yeah, and also they do, everything is recorded, so we're gonna get the recordings. I would probably do the AI annotation of
I
these
wanted
things.
to know.
It's impossible because it's like 7 hours every day. My head is like a balloon, and it's so advanced. I'm so not used to being at the conference with such an advanced material. I was like, oh my God, like I really need to catch up. I have a homework for like 3 years into the future to catch up on these things. But this is something that really drives me, like systematizing things, creating clarity, creating structures, helping designers and developers do their job more efficiently, faster, so they don't have to think about or like redo like mundane things. So, and I think design system really helps with that. It also works as like the sort of like the hub of design decisions. And people at that conference, they blew my mind with like the amount of like ideas and the level of implementation. It's like, holy crap, like this is like amazing. They're all like wizards. It was just magic.
You're still enthusiastic about learning things. I love to see that.
Yeah.
Yay.
So yes.
I have my last question. So it's Bubbles interviews. So I have bubbles for you. Please take one of your favorites.
Okay.
And I will. We make bubbles, and I will ask the last question. Yay, great. And the thing is, you kind of explained. You kind of told what was. You gave the answer already, so I'm looking for another answer if it's possible.
Oh.
When people ask you when you were a child, what did you want it to be when you grew up, other than computer scientist, what was your answer? Do you remember?
I think I had a very standard thing. So I grew up in a family of teachers, so I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay,
It was something that was super familiar to me.
Okay, great. That was the last question. Thank you so much for your time. I think it was really inspiring for many people. Thank you. Bye bye.
Doei.